made it to chirohustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channel and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 320 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your co-host Luke Millette, and here's your host Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Tom Lankering, and if you want to understand how to raise the frequency of chiropractic, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have Tom Lankering coming in from
Colorado, up by Aspen,
Okay.
Colorado. Yep.
So you're about 2 hours away from me, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm out here in the beautiful Grand Valley, which is Grand Junction, Colorado. If you guys didn't know, 25 miles from the Utah border. But yeah, this is episode 320. And before we get started, I just wanted to let people know why our show does what we do. And we do protect the sacred trust in chiropractic. Like I always say, if you don't know what that is, get out your Google, check out Chiropractic Sacred Trust. We do support subluxation-based chiropractic. If you guys don't know what that means, you're going to learn a great deal today on this episode. And we do support innate intelligence within the body. And I think that those are things that we do keep free speech alive and well also in the beautiful professional chiropractic. So with that being said, Dr. Tom, welcome to episode 320.
Great to be here, Jim. So, yeah, and this is a National Geographic series you and I are doing right now. There's a lot to talk about, so we'll try to keep it concise there.
Yeah. And first things first, your story. How did you get into this profession of chiropractic, and tell a little bit about the journey?
Yeah, it's fun that when people ask me, how I got out here and to Colorado. I'm a Jersey boy, and the bottom line, I tell them it was destiny. And I didn't have any chiropractic miracles, so to say. I didn't come from a generation of chiropractors or anything like that. But my story, here we go. My story, I came out to Aspen in 1979. I had done my BS in biology, thinking med school. And in undergrad, I started ski instructing. I went to SUNY Albany and Hunter Mountain in the Catskills, and I got certified ski instructing, and everybody had smiles on their faces. And I was like, I think that's what I want to be doing there. And so I told my dad, actually an osteopath had brought me into this world. And we used osteopathics through sports in high school and so forth. And I told my dad I wanted to go ski instructing. And he was like, yeah, great, fine. He says, but you should have something to fall back on. I was like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, what did you have in mind? He says, why not chiropractic? I was like, whatever that is, fine. Okay. He filled out the applications for me and so forth. And so as it turned out, a friend of ours owned a ski shop, and a friend of his wanted his stereo out in Aspen. So back then, the stereo speakers were huge. But in return for bringing his stereo out, I could sleep on his couch. And so I loaded up my 1967 Falcon Turbo station wagon. The turbo, the more you turn the volume up in the stereo, the more the turbo went up, And came out here, and the first day I remember walking out in the mountains and outside the first morning, and the voice inside said, "This is it. You're home. You don't have to go anywhere. Kick your feet up. This is where you're supposed to be." And the voice was so strong, I couldn't fight it, And on the way out, I stopped off at Palmer College, was interviewed, and they said, "Great, we have a quarter starting next week. Would you like to start there?" And I was like, "Well, that's nice." I said, "But I've got to go skiing first." And so I came out here. I got hired ski instructing. You would have thought my father thought I'd been signed by the New York Yankees or something. It was such a big deal. And I got hired, and through the winter. And then I would call Palmer up and I would say, I'm working really hard to make money for school and I'm having a really good time. And can I take another deferment? So sure, and so forth. And then I'd be riding up the chairlifts and I'd see people falling. And I'm going, there's a need for me here. At that point, I was thinking more mechanical aspects. And so finally, I went back to chiropractic school after 2 years of deferments. And in the first class, one of the first classes I was in was a philosophy class. And again, the voice hit me, and it was so loud saying, this is chiropractic. And the voice was saying, you're supposed to be a chiropractor in Aspen. And the voice was so strong, I couldn't fight it. And so all along, there's challenges and ups and downs and everything else. And it worked out great because I took the winter quarters off, would come out here, ski instruct, play piano. It was a lot of fun. It was great. And then, started my practice with $25 in my pocket and a pair of skis. I still have my stereo too. And, but that was, in 1984. So I'm in my 37th year of practice. And, it's been pretty amazing. And while there's always been, whether the thoughts and temptations or whatever, you get in the challenging situations of, should I be doing something else? You see all the money and so forth in the Aspen area. It's like, well, gee, maybe I should get into real estate. But that voice is just so strong going, you know what, you've got a mission here. And now with the times that are going on, I'm finding that my mission is even louder and more clear about what my role is and what I'm supposed to be doing here. So,
amen. It's really cool to hear these origin stories of whether somebody's been practicing for 3 years or somebody's been practicing for 37 years. It's like I said off camera, like the osmosis of the knowledge base that I am able to deposit into myself just because of hosting this show. And your episode 320, we've been running strong for 4 years now. It's really cool. So thank you for sharing that story. And you're so close to me. We have to get together one of these days.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's great to get, the amazing people that we get to meet. And I think in this field, and I think you look at energy, what we attract and what we bring in, but it also is an opportunity of really some really deep, real stuff, that like you're saying, maybe not a lot of people are necessarily aware of. But boy, when you get together with someone, and I'm sure you've had it, you can stay until the wee hours of the night having amazing conversations, and just it's mind-boggling what we learn and what from each other and information out there. So,
well, in such a frustrated, misunderstood world right now, it's important to fill ourselves back up with relationship equity, with relationship capital, however we want to look at it, or as you said, relational energy. And I think that that's one of the things is a great bond between a practitioner and a practice. And when people have that space that they hold, and chiropractors, I've always thought of like chiropractors as healers. And, sometimes the healer needs some connection too. Yeah. And a lot of times the chiropractor is deemed as the healer, and they have like a cape and whatnot, but you guys are regular people that just look forward to taking care of others. So I think that that's something else that the world needs to understand more of too, is chiropractors are healers, but chiropractors need to have community also, which makes, meeting people with good energetic frequency important, because you guys are always, finding subluxations in people that people are misfiring, and they don't have energetic balance, and they don't have energetic frequency. So you have to take a lot of people and retune them. So I think that that's it's really cool that you build community and help people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exciting.
So square one, if you met a kid that's just finishing last trimester in school, what advice might you impart upon them for how to start right out of the gates and have a thriving practice?
You're talking as far as finishing up chiropractic school.
Yeah. Like if you met like I don't know how many tries they even go through anymore, 12 maybe. But if you met like a 12th try student that's going to come out to Grand Junction, Colorado per se, and start a practice, what advice would you maybe give to them on becoming a successful chiropractor?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think that what I would say and is to really get clear about who you are, but also clear about the person you want to serve. Because chiropractic, the youngest I've adjusted is 4 days old to 98 years old, so you have the whole spectrum of what you want to work with. But within that, I think it's really helpful to find your dot, to find that avatar, to find that specific person that you really want to focus on so that you really can understand what their challenges are, what their issues are, and how you can serve them the best. And the more you can narrow that dot down, the bigger your market becomes because there are a lot of people in that dot. Let's just say, for example, you wanted to work with, so I have an online course that I'm creating for their 7 biohacking secrets to feel younger and have more energy. And it's focused for men in their 50s and 60s who haven't been paying attention to their health. So that's my dot that I start working with. But I'll talk with women. I'll talk with people in their 30s or 40s. And they'll go, oh, wow, I really need to feel younger and have more energy. So it doesn't exclude anybody out of that niche that you're working with, but it helps you to focus more. And then from there, to really have honest communication with people about what their needs are, so people, when they understand that you understand, or they understand that you care, it's all about relationship. And what you find is you really then start attracting your tribe of people, and then you repel those that aren't right for you. And so for some people, that's a hard situation because you want everybody, you want to build your business, you want to, help people, you want to make money, you want to do these different things. And so it's hard to, get rid of some of this stuff, but that allows the right people to come into your practice. So that would be one of my thoughts to help people or get clear about what you want to be doing.
Yeah. So clarity is the connection to having the practice that you want to do. And I think that's really, really important to know, because a lot of times people are like, well, I'm just going to open up the door and whoever comes in, that's who I'll take care of. And then they don't realize that there's a lot of incongruency in the type of people you attract. And you have to do a lot of things that you might not have anticipated doing as a practitioner, like working with attorneys or working with sharing files with other providers or things of that nature. Or, some people get so hyper niched in, all they do is take care of maybe skiers, or they get hyper niched in and they take care of prenatal and pediatric care. So I think it's really cool when you understand the clarity of direction that a practitioner can go. It's really limitless compared to, in comparison to whatever you once thought was possible for you. So I really believe that people can find what they want in the chiropractic profession and go serve that population.
Yeah. And it still doesn't exclude, you can get anybody you want. So, but it just helps the practitioner to get clear and helps you to focus. And so that, you're thinking trying to figure out how they're thinking, what are their issues? What are their challenges? Pain is still a great motivating factor. And so, but what does that pain do? It doesn't allow them to get out and do their walks, to play with their grandkids or their kids, or to hang out with their friends, or, to do the things that they love to be doing. Mm-hmm. And so it just helps you to relate better, because it's still it's amazing to me every day you can go deeper and deeper into relationships. And when you do that, it's pretty amazing. It's quite an opportunity that we have to work with people and to help people. So, yeah.
So let's look at you a little bit closer. You as the doctor, and you has been practicing for 37 years. What do you do to stay so healthy and so active with good energy?
Yeah, I like to think I walk the talk. I know I walk the talk, and so I have a very holistic practice. I studied with John Brimhall and Scott Walker, and I've had some pretty amazing mentors over the years. But John Brimhall talks with the triangle of health, and so the different stressors are physical or structural stress, biochemical nutritional stress, mental and emotional stress, which is the basic triad of chiropractic that D.D. Palmer came up with. But now in the world we're living in today is much more stressful. So we have electromagnetic radiation, we have toxins, and we have infections and allergies. And so all of that is working. And so a lot of the work that I'm doing is brain-based wellness, which has really been a whole new world that's opened up as far as dealing with the brain. And I use a technology called brain tap technology that works with brain fitness. We know about physical fitness and people go out and exercise and so forth, right? You're on your, amazing with your workout programs. Well, one of the main things that I do now is I do the brain tap every day, which has 1,800 programs. And it uses light and sound to get your brain into the right place so that it's not stuck with all the stress going on out there. It gets our brain into this stress, fight, or flight survival mode, or the sympathetic system. And then the parasympathetic pays the price. So that seesaw, and people get stuck in that pattern. So for myself, I also do that. I take all the vitamins. I take quite a bit of vitamins, concentrated whole foods, organically sourced, pre-digested. I get out and I exercise. I get adjusted regularly, probably every couple of weeks or so. And, so I'm doing a lot of this stuff. I eat organically, do a lot of the right things. I think mindset plays a big role. And so I like to think that it's a lifestyle. It's a choice of how I'm living. And I think it works pretty well. So it's worked well for me so far.
Well, it's really cool to see that you're so enthusiastic about the approach that you have. And I just wanted to share a couple of side notes on me. Is I just pulled up my brain tap total sessions lifetime, and I've done 251 straight days.
Really?
Of these programs. So as soon as I had the headset, I haven't missed a day.
Right.
And,
Same here. Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool that you're a fellow brain tapper, and Patrick has been on our show a couple times. So big shout out to Patrick Porter and Brain Tap community, and Sean Bean for supporting chirohustle as well. I think that's really cool. So this is something I'm really curious to ask you, because I don't get a chance to talk to too many brain tappers. How do you like to do the sessions? Do you sit down? Do you lay down? Like what's your body positioning?
Yeah, I have at home, I have a recliner. Sometimes I'll do it in bed. In the office, I've got the gravity chair. So, sometimes driving. Just kidding. I don't do it when I'm driving. I should put the headset on now so people could see what the headset looks like. So, yeah. So, but yeah, I don't start a day off without it. And I've just noticed such a change. And, and it's really, like I said, after all these years, there's people who've been practicing longer, people who've been practicing less. But the brain-based wellness, when John Brimhall first introduced me to Patrick Porter and the brain tap, I was like, boom. So about 5 years ago, I was thinking about 5 years ago, give or take, was when I started doing the brain tap work. And when I heard Patrick speak at a Brimhall homecoming and he was talking about the brain, I was like, this is it. This is totally it, which actually, I like that I can change and adapt, because, and I think one of the biggest situations with chiropractic is, and I was one of those thinking, well, from the brain down through the spine, and then the spine and the nerves go out to the rest of the body. And so we think, well, bones are out of position, it pinches the nerve, pop it back in, and everything's fine. Okay, and that works maybe because we just didn't realize some of the stuff. But now with the neuroscience, I should have my book, but I was able to be in a best-selling Amazon book called Wake Up the Happy Brain. And there were 36 authors. Patrick Porter was one, Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza. There are 36 of us, and my chapter was The Art of Balance. But the name of the game now is, we realize that the chiropractic adjustments are actually sending pattern interruptions to the brain, because the prefrontal cortex and the fibers that go to the cerebellum, how that affects our posture and position. And, when the brain is balanced, the body's balanced. And when the brain is not balanced, the body's not balanced. And so, I just find that this brain-based wellness, again, may be a little challenging for people to grasp, which I find interesting, that they don't realize how important their brain is. And, if there's a monthly subscription, $30 a month, they go, oh, wow, that's a lot. And I'll say, yeah, your brain probably isn't worth that, for some people. But you realize just how important the brain is, especially with all the stress going on these days.
Well, congratulations for being a part of that book.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, and those are some heavy hitters that you're chaptered up with. So it's pretty cool, but maybe they don't realize how heavy of a hitter you are too.
Simply, and it was quite an opportunity to be involved with that. And it really was pretty amazing to write, like I said, my chapter is The Art of Balance. But yeah, to see that and to go, wow, I listen to Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza and Patrick Porter. They're some of my heroes that, it's fascinating to learn from. So yeah, it's great to be in that.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, doTERRA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, and Prime Spine Consulting. Let's hustle. Well, outside of the chiropractic adjustment, let's talk about the quickest biohack that you might be able to offer up to our audience to help them refine balance in their body.
Well, I think that the brain tap, I don't know if that was quite what you were asking. The brain tap is probably the most amazing biohack that I think is out there. I think that another great biohack is proper vitamins, proper nutrition. A lot of people say, oh, I want to get my nutrition through my foods. Well, the lifestyles we live or have been living puts us in such a deficit. It's hard to eat a bushel of carrots every day and a basket of apples. So if you have the right kind of nutrition, I think that it helps to meet our needs. It's all about energy. And so I think that that's one of the great things to work with. I think one of the other things too is mindset, that you can change your state in a moment, just by thinking the triad of what you focus on, the words that you use, and the physiology that you assume. If I was on this program going, well, I don't know, Jim, no, it's not there, right? You got to have the physiology. You got to have what you're focusing on. You got to be aware of the words that you use. How are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing okay. How are you doing today? Hey, I'm having a great day. It's spectacular. It's a whole different perspective on how the energy that you create and how you go out in the world. So those would be a few of the biohacks that I think can be helpful there.
Well, let's future pace a little bit here, and let's talk about this beautiful profession of chiropractic that we both love and support. And let's talk about where it's headed to. What are the kids going to be getting in 20 years? What's the profession going to be doing?
Yeah, and I was the president of the Colorado Chiropractic Association in 2005, so I've been pretty involved. I think we're at a real turning point right now, and I think that this COVID situation has really created a tremendous opportunity for those of us who want to take it as an opportunity. We have a real chance. The healthcare system is imploding, and we know that it's been going that direction. We never would have been able to have that happen if it weren't for COVID. To see how that's happened. And so you have a lot of people in fear. You have a lot of mistruths about what's going on. It's not about health. If it was about health, they'd be talking about things to do to stay healthy. Vitamin D, stop eating junk food and sugar, exercise, clean water, and so forth. So it's not about health. It's a whole nother agenda of what's been happening. And so, there are a group of people who have decided to put the truth out there. And it's been a wonderful opportunity for me, because from the beginning, understanding the immune system and how the body works, knowing how the pharmaceutical industry evolved and has gone through, I started questioning what was going on right away. And, sometimes, some different practice management consultants will say, oh, don't say anything, just keep your practice going, and so forth. But we're fighting a war, and we have an opportunity to really put the truth out there. And for me, it's, the sword I'll die on. It's the hill I'll die on, because we have to get the truth. And so we're at a critical juncture of where we're going to be. A few years ago, you couldn't talk about vaccines. When I was talking about vaccines, and I've had a TV show in Aspen since '95. I haven't done it since COVID. I talk vaccines, I talk this, I talk fluoride and everything else. And, when I would talk vaccine a few years ago, people, would definitely say, different names for me and different things. Now it's front page. Now everybody's talking about it. So it really gives us an opportunity to have the conversation for those who want to have the conversation. Some of the people have been brainwashed and so forth. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a I don't remember the particular movie. Maybe you do the reference, but they're like talking about the truth, and somebody comes through and interjects and says, "You can't handle the truth."
Right,
and I think that that's one of our positions today. Is it's not one of absolutism; it's one of intellectual and physiological authority over domain of our anatomy of our body and our ownership of our decisions. Right. And I think that that's where this chiropractic conversation has become pivoted into, as that was a famous word in 2020, is to pivot. But I think that we've pivoted into that chiropractic is the answer for people. As I know, a lot of chiropractors over the years have been saying, we need to be port of entry for all people. And I think that what we're going to do is we're going to get a lot of adulterated port of entry patients that have gone the medical route, which has been something that we've seen over time. But more people are going to be curious about staying healthy without a pharmacological intervention. And I look at that as like, if you build something and it's big, you have to get scaffolding to put around it. And a lot of times when you build the beautiful thing, over time, you want to take the scaffolding down so you can actually look at it. Yeah. And I look at the pharmaceutical industry, it's been kind of a scaffolding for humanity. And now we just really want to see humanity for what it really is. So we have to take down the scaffolding so we can start seeing the brilliance of people again. Yeah. And I think that we have some fixing to do with chiropractic while the scaffolding's up. But I think that it's a great analogy, because eventually the humanity will want to take the scaffolding down so they can see the clarity that exists in the human culture again.
Yeah. And chiropractic has been saying chiropractic since the beginning. And so we've been very congruent. We're not changing anything. I mean, how we evolve, we learn more about some of the different stressors and so forth. And, but, we've evolved, but, still what we're saying now versus what the mainstream media is talking about. And it's a David versus Goliath, but nevertheless, it's the truth. I believe, my opinion about it is that what we're talking about, we're not talking about synthetic experimental toxins being injected into the body for the health. We're going, hey, this is still the most amazing technology that's on this planet. And, even like you said before, as far as being a healer, I still go, maybe I have some things that help accelerate the healing, but it's still the body that's doing the healing. And, still back to the good old philosophy of chiropractic that, the power that made the body has the power to heal the body. And so,
but it's the power of convergence with practitioner though. And that's where the fulcrum is.
Sure.
Is the power of energy for somebody to come and find the practitioner, for the practitioner to check, detect, correct, and for that person to get that fulcrum visit to where now they're like, okay, Okay.
Right.
It wasn't about the whiplash.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't about the sciatica. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get this convergence effort in the future of their life that's completely going to be changed because of that one time. And I
Right.
think that that's the part where it's not so much you taking credit as being the healer, but you facilitate the time and future of that person by that one chance meetup.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a humbling experience just to be able to be involved with that. And, I mean, I still have just this week, I mean, just amazing things happen in the office. And it's just humbling. It's going, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could necessarily do that, but that's a pretty amazing body that did do that. And it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Tom, we're coming up on the edge of our interview today with each other, but let's close out with the miracle story that you've experienced over your 37 years that you want to share with our audience.
Yeah, I've had a lot of them, but I think that probably one of the most amazing ones. I still remember the kid's name. It was Zach, and I was taking care of the mother and her mother. So the grandmother came in carrying Zach, the grandchild. So Zach was the mom's nephew. So the grandmother's holding this 1-year-old, 15-month-old, and so I'm taking care of the mom, and she says, well, do you think you could help Zach? And I look, and the grandmother's, and Zach's just like this flopped baby in this grandmother's arms. I said, yeah, whatever, and so I said, let's fill out the form. And so for the complaint, it said, can't sit up. I said, can't sit up. I said, can you show me? Put the kid on the floor, and he fell over like a sack of potatoes. I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, what do we do? So, I went, just start checking the spine, and I think it's some of those times you just surrender to innate and you just go, I'm just a vessel here. I don't know what to do, but somebody knows what to do. And sure enough, man, C1, the first bone in the spine, the vertebra there, was like a golf ball sticking out, And so whether this kid, the mom, and whatever the home situation was, maybe fell down a flight of stairs. And so I adjusted this kid's atlas, and you'd probably hear the sound across the street, of the vertebra and the adjustment and popping back in and so forth, popping back in. And all of a sudden this kid's eyes lit up, and the aunt and the grandmother were like, whoa, it's like, what'd you do? And I'm like, holy smokes, what did I do? Type of situation. And I said, well, let's put Zach on the floor. So I put Zach on the floor, and he sat. Not only did he sit, then he starts crawling around the room. He couldn't move. He couldn't move 10 seconds before, right? And he couldn't even sit up. And like that, the adjustment, and this kid starts crawling. So it was amazing. I was like, wow, this is a miracle, And then they didn't come back in, and I was calling because I just wanted to see how Zach was doing. I follow up and so forth. And they came in about a week later, and just the grandmother and the mother and the aunt came in. And I was like, well, where's Zach? And all of a sudden, Zach comes running in the office door, and he's running around like a balloon that you let the air out of. And he couldn't sit up a week before, right? So, just amazing. And so you think cross crawl and what it takes to learn to cross crawl and then to walk. And well, in a week, he went from crawling to running. And, you go, holy smokes. And then it was amazing because, then I hadn't seen him since, and that was a long time ago. But hey, a miracle, you changed that kid's life forever. So
that's that fulcrum of influence.
Amazing stuff, right? So yeah.
Well, Tom, it's been a great episode, 320 with us here at chirohustle. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
I think that, kind of going back to what we were talking about, that I think we have a real opportunity to be leaders into the new healthcare system and maybe to the new world, raising the frequency, raising our energy. And that's all about love. and we are fighting a war, and we can win this war through love and compassion and communication. And I think really realizing what it is that we have to offer. I think that there might be some chiropractors out there who might be confused about what we have to offer, but I know that there are a lot who realize that, wow, this is the time. And do we hide in our offices, or do we get out there and do we spread the truth? Do we write letters to the editor? Do we call our politicians, and do we speak the truth to people out there? And people want to hear that. People, my practice now is, I'm so excited about what's going on in my practice, and that I can speak the truth, and people want to hear the truth. And people realize, especially in the brain-based wellness and all the different stressors that are going on out there, that, now is our time. We have a real opportunity. We saw chiropractors go to jail years ago because the pharmaceutical industry wanted to wipe us out. And now we have more people understanding and waking up and seeing the truth out there. So, it's a matter of being brave. We got to be brave. We got to be real. And we've got to realize that we have a bigger purpose to serve. And it's not just about us, but it's, fighting the dark forces out there. And fortunately, I think that we're on the side of truth and side of goodness, and I'm confident that we'll prevail.
That's a lot of great foresight for people. And I believe that now that we're all in it together, that that message will echo for generations to come. With that, if people wanted to connect with you or learn more about you, do you have any websites or social media links that we can share with them?
Yeah, lankeringchiropractic.com is my website. My Facebook page is Lankering Chiropractic. And my office number is 970-927-9900. Email address is dradjust, DRADJUST, at sopris.net, Sopris, SOPRIS.net. So a few different ways for people to get a hold of me.
Great. Well, I thank you so much for being our guest today over here at the Chiro Hustle podcast. This is episode 320, and you did show up and delivered a lot of truth for people to have some resources on. So brain-based chiropractic, I think it is very important for people to know that. And what a great miracle story.
Yeah, it's fun. So, Jim, it's been a privilege and honor. I really appreciate connecting with you and the opportunity to share this information with folks. So thank you very much.
Well, since you're there and I'm here, let's do one of these one day so we can get together and share some fellowship.
I look forward to it. So, good, sir. All right.
All right, Tom. Thanks for talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.